For my birthday, my parents sent me a gift box. My husband looked at it and said, "Don't open it." I asked, "Why?" He just pointed. "Can't you see it?" I looked closer and froze. I didn't open it. I did this instead. 30 minutes later, police were at the door. I'm not a big birthday person. I don't throw parties or orchestrate elaborate dinners that require a reservation 3 months in advance. I don't post dramatic selfies with a caption like 34 and thriving. Honestly, most years I forget it's my birthday until my husband, Liam, buys me a fancy chocolate bar from the organic market and makes a dumb joke about being married to such a mature, sophisticated woman. A quiet joke, a piece of chocolate, and a peaceful morning. That's more than enough celebration for me. It's a comfortable ritual in a life I've carefully built to be the opposite of my childhood, calm. So, when my phone rang the day before my birthday, and my mom was on the line sounding like someone had injected pure syrup directly into her carotid artery, I already knew something was off. Her voice was high and lilting, a tone she only ever used when she was about to ask for something unreasonable, or tell a lie so large it needed a sugary coating to be swallowed. "Oh, sweetheart," she cooed, the word sweetheart a tiny alarm bell in the back of my mind. "We sent you a little surprise for your birthday. It should arrive right on time." Right on time? As if my parents had ever been on time for anything in my life that didn't directly involve my sister, Riley. I remembered my high school graduation, them arriving just as I was walking off the stage. My college graduation, they missed entirely because Riley had a migraine. Yet, a stupid, hopeful part of me, the part that 34 years of experience should have already starved to death, flickered. I played along, keeping my voice neutral. "Oh, okay. Thanks, Mom." She giggled. My mother, a woman whose laughter was usually a sharp, critical bark, giggled like a teenager. The sound was so unnatural it made the hairs on my arms stand up. "It's nothing big," she said, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Just a little token of our love." That was the moment I should have known for certain. Not because of what she said, but because she used the word love and didn't immediately follow it with a backhanded compliment or a reminder that I'm too sensitive. But you want to believe, don't you? Even after a lifetime of emotional crumbs, even when you've trained yourself not to expect a full meal, you see a crumb and think, maybe this time, it's the start of a feast. Maybe they're finally trying. They weren't. They were plotting. The next morning, it's my birthday. Liam, my anchor in the choppy sea of my family, makes me pancakes with blueberries arranged in a smiley face. He lets me drink my coffee in bed, the warm mug a comforting weight in my hands, while he handles an early work call in the other room. The house is quiet, filled with the smell of coffee and the soft morning light. It's peaceful, comfortable, safe. And then the doorbell rings, a sharp, intrusive sound that shatters the calm. A medium-sized cardboard box is sitting on the welcome mat. It's aggressively plain. No festive ribbon, no glittery gift tag, no happy birthday Adeline balloon tied to it. Just a box, plain brown, a printed shipping label, and taped shut with a precision that suggested it was packed by a robot, not by loving parents. Liam picks it up, his movements slow and deliberate. He carries it into the kitchen and sets it down on the granite countertop with a soft thud. Then he just stares at it, his jaw tight, as if he expects it to grow legs and scuttle away. The silence stretches. "That's from my parents," I say, trying to sound casual. He doesn't say anything, just keeps his eyes locked on the box. "Mom called yesterday," I add, my voice a little weaker this time. "Said they were sending me a gift." Still nothing. His silence is more damning than any accusation. Finally, he looks at me, his eyes dark with a concern that chills me to the bone. "Don't open it." I force a laugh, but it sounds brittle and fake even to my own ears. "Why? You think it's cursed?" Liam doesn't laugh back. He doesn't even smile. He simply nods at the label on the box. "Look," he says, his voice low and serious. "Really look." So I do. I scan the printed shipping tag. My name and address are correct, but the return address isn't theirs. It's a P.O. box from a city 2 hours away from them. There's no handwriting anywhere. Not a single pen stroke. Not on the label, not tucked inside the seams. It's sterile, anonymous. A cold feeling begins to creep up my spine. Liam steps closer and taps the edge of the box with one finger. There, he says, his voice barely a whisper. Bottom right corner of the label. Do you see it? I lean in, expecting a smudge or a printing error. But it's not. It's a tiny, almost imperceptible star, drawn with a silver pen, right next to the barcode. My breath catches in my throat. It's the same stupid little star Riley used to doodle on everything she owned since we were kids, her notebooks, her shoes, even the wall in our old bedroom. It was her secret signature, a mark of ownership. And now, it was on a package sent to ruin my life. It wasn't just a box from a supplier. It was a box personally marked by her. For me, my heart trips, then it stumbles over a beat. Everything inside me goes still. It's not fear, not yet. It's a deeper, colder emotion, the dread of recognition, a familiar poison. I don't say a word, neither does Liam. He just steps back again, giving me space, his quiet presence a shield. And that's when my phone rings again. Its cheerful tone, a grotesque counterpoint to the horror dawning in the room. The screen displays my mother's name. Liam looks at the screen, then at me. I look at him, my hand trembling slightly. I swipe to answer and hit the speakerphone button. Sweetie, did it arrive? Her voice is bright, eager, and utterly false. I pause, my thumb hovering over the end call button. Liam doesn't move a muscle, but his eyes tell me everything I need to know. Be careful. Yeah, I say, my voice a flat monotone. It came. Oh, good. Did you open it? I glance at the box, at the tiny silver star glinting under the kitchen lights. A lie forms on my lips, cold and calculated. Yeah, I lie again. I opened it. It's beautiful. Thank you. Oh, sweetheart, she gushes, the relief in her voice palpable. We just wanted to remind you how much we love you. You're our girl. Don't ever forget that. My stomach drops into a black hole. You're our girl. My mother has never, not once, said that to me. Not when I graduated with honors. Not when I got married. Not when I cried on her couch after my second miscarriage 2 years ago, a grief so profound I thought it would swallow me whole. Then, she had patted my shoulder awkwardly and said, "These things happen. But now, for this box, I was their girl." Liam's expression is grim. I give him a slight, almost imperceptible shake of my head. Well, she says, her voice all sing-song, we just thought you deserved something nice. You're so strong. You always have been. Then she hangs up, leaving her words hanging in the air like toxic spores. For a long moment, the only sound is the hum of the refrigerator. The box sits between us on the counter, an unwelcome guest, watching us. I hate how nice she was. I say, finally, my voice thick with resentment. I know, Liam says softly. She only calls me sweetie when she's about to lie or manipulate me. I know. And they never send gifts, not real ones. Remember that one Christmas they gave my sister a Peloton and me a scented candle from a gas station? Liam manages a small, dark laugh. I think that candle was used, and possibly expired. We stand there a while longer in the heavy silence. I have a violent urge to throw the box out the window, followed by an equally strong desire to set it on fire. The contradictory impulses perfectly mirror the chaos of my family. Eventually, I sink into a kitchen chair, the strength draining from my legs. Liam, ever the caretaker, puts the kettle on to make tea. We don't open the box. We don't even touch it again. It just sits there, taking up space, saying nothing, and yet saying everything. 30 minutes later, there's a knock at the door. Not the quick rap of a neighbor or the thud of a delivery driver. This is a firm, official knock. It's a uniform. Are you Adeline Weller? The officer asks, his face polite but unreadable. I nod, my throat suddenly dry. We've received an anonymous report about a suspicious package delivered to this address. Do you mind if we come in and ask you a few questions? And that's where I'll stop for now. Because the box is still there, and so is everything that came with it. To understand how we got here, you need to understand my life. Or at least, you need to understand Riley. Riley is my younger sister, younger by 3 years, but lighter by about 1,000 emotional pounds. If I am duty, she is delight. If I'm the one who remembers everyone's birthdays and doctor's appointments, Riley is the one who just can't deal with that kind of pressure right now. She was the golden child, not in a sparkly, overachieving way, but more in a fragile, let's not make her upset kind of way. Her power was her tears. She could cry on command, and the world would bend to her will. I didn't cry. That was my mistake. I think I was 8 the first time I took the blame for something I didn't do. We had this hideous vase in the hallway, dark green ceramic, probably worth $12 but treated like the crown jewel of our modest family estate. One afternoon, it shattered. A loud crash, a big mess of ceramic shards and murky water on the hardwood floor. Riley was standing over it, her bottom lip trembling like a cartoon character about to burst into tears. I remember walking into the hallway from my room and just knowing, with the certainty of a seasoned actor, what was about to happen. When Mom rushed in and started yelling, Riley's little finger shot out and pointed at me. Adeline did it, just like that. No warm-up, no hesitation, no eye contact. Just betrayal, clean and cold. I hadn't touched the stupid thing. I hadn't even walked past it that hour. But I said nothing. Because I was the older sister. Because she was already crying. Because I knew how this movie ended. Mom looked at me, her face a mask of disappointment, and sighed as if I was a frustrating puzzle she couldn't be bothered to solve. Well, you're the big sister. You should have been watching her. I got sent to my room. Riley got a popsicle. And that was that. Another time, I think I was 12, Riley borrowed my favorite sweater without asking, a beautiful lilac one my grandmother had knitted for me. She wore it to school, got oil paints on it during some creative moment in art class, and then blamed me for not telling her it was special. When I confronted her, she burst into tears, and my mother just nodded as if Riley's twisted logic made perfect sense. Why didn't you hide it better, Adeline? You know, she's still learning boundaries. That sweater was irreplaceable. Riley never apologized. She claimed I overreacted, cried some more, got taken out for ice cream, and I learned another lesson. Truth doesn't get you comfort. Tears do. By the time we were adults, we weren't so much sisters as two people who had grown up in the same house and learned to perform a fragile peace treaty whenever our parents were in earshot. Riley flitted through life. She did a yoga certification, sold essential oils for 3 months, and created a spiritual art Instagram that was actually just reposted Etsy screenshots and photos of her holding coffee mugs on various beaches. Somehow, none of it ever failed in our parents' eyes. It just evolved. She's finding her way, my mom would say. She's got such a creative soul. Not everyone fits the mold, Adeline. This was hilarious because I never wanted Riley to fit any mold. I just wanted her to pay back the $600 she borrowed to launch her failed bath bomb line that stained my bathtub green. But I didn't say that. I just watched from a safe emotional distance as she failed upwards, with my parents cheering her on from the sidelines. About a year ago, I got a call from my mom. She wanted to take me to lunch. Just you, she said, as if it were a rare treat I should be grateful for. We met at a farm-to-table place she always pretended to love but secretly called overpriced. Riley was already there, sipping a kale smoothie and looking like a discount lifestyle blogger. They were friendly. Too friendly. We made small talk. Then Riley hit me with it. So, she began, all smiles. I was wondering, would it be okay if I used your name and address for something? Just for a business account, for this little art thing I'm working on. It's not shady or anything, it's just easier because I'm kind of between leases, and you're so stable. That word. Stable. It always meant the same thing coming from them. Boring, predictable, and easy to pin things on. Mom jumped in immediately. We just thought it made sense. You're so good with paperwork, and it's just temporary, really. I didn't get angry. I didn't even hesitate for long, I just said, no. Calm, quiet, absolute. Riley blinked, her smile faltering for a second before she pasted it back on. Oh, hey, well, that's okay, no worries. Lunch ended early. After that, the freeze-out began. Not a dramatic blow-up, just a gradual, colder, drier distance. The Christmas invitation got lost in the mail. My dad sent a passive-aggressive email about the importance of supporting family projects. Riley unfollowed me on Instagram. I didn't even notice until a friend pointed it out. I told myself I didn't care, but a small part of me did. I think that part hoped they'd come back around, that they'd respect the boundary, that saying no for once wouldn't automatically make me the villain. Instead, they just moved on without me, which was, honestly, mostly fine. Quiet is better than chaos, and I had built a good, quiet life. A peaceful house, a kind husband, no one screaming, no one crying on command, and no vases smashed in the hallway. But when that box landed on my doorstep, on my birthday of all days, with that tiny silver star winking at me, something in me knew. This wasn't random. They weren't being kind. They were being careful. This was the consequence of my no. After I saw the packaging and the star, I already knew. Then came the call. My mother, syrupy and soft, asking if I'd received our little gift. I told her yes. Told her I opened it. Told her it was beautiful. I hadn't. As I lied, Liam stood next to me in the kitchen, arms crossed, a silent pillar of support. Before my mother could continue her performance, I picked up my phone, discreetly tapped the screen to start a voice recording, and set it on the counter beside me. It wasn't paranoia. It was strategy. I'd learned from a lifetime of their games that you had to be one step ahead. They weren't sending me a gift. They were sending me a problem, with my name already printed on it. The knock came less than half an hour later. I opened the door to a uniformed officer, polite and expressionless in that practiced way. "Are you Adeline Weller?" I nodded. "We received an anonymous report regarding a suspicious package delivered to this address. Would you mind if we came in and had a look?" "I didn't call," I said, keeping my voice steady. "The report was anonymous, and no, I haven't opened it." Liam stepped into view behind me, a solid, reassuring presence. I opened the door wider. "Sure," I said. "Please, come in." The box was still on the counter, a brown cardboard tumor in my otherwise clean kitchen. "That's the one," I said, gesturing toward it. The first officer walked over, examining it from all angles as if it might detonate. His partner stood just behind him, his eyes methodically scanning the room, from the fridge magnets to the tea towels, as if we might have a clandestine warehouse tucked under the table. "It was addressed to you?" the first officer asked, his eyes scanning my face with professional neutrality. "Yep, a birthday present from my parents." The officer raised an eyebrow slightly, a flicker of suspicion in his gaze. "A birthday present? And you didn't call in the suspicious package report on your own gift?" My stomach tightened. For a split second, I saw how this could look from the outside. Guilty. As I said, I didn't call. I have no idea who did. I replied, my voice unwavering. He held my gaze for a moment longer before nodding once. "Would you mind if we opened it?" "Go ahead," I said, a strange sense of calm settling over me. The trap was sprung, but I wasn't the one caught in it. They were methodical. Latex gloves, sharp box cutters, everything by protocol. The tape peeled back with a dry, ripping sound. Inside was a mess of bubble wrap and packing peanuts. Beneath that lay a few small, abstract sculptures, the kind of soulless, pseudo-artistic things people overpay for to look cultured. There was also a certificate of authenticity, and, at the very bottom, a shipping slip. With my name on it, of course. One officer picked up a figurine and scanned a QR code on its base with a device. He glanced at his partner. They exchanged a look. I couldn't quite read, but it was heavy with confirmation. "Ma'am, do you know what these are?" the first one asked. "I mean, they look like art," I said carefully. "Kind of." "Do you know where they came from, specifically?" I shook my head. "I told you. My parents sent it to me as a gift." He paused, his pen hovering over his notepad. "Do you have any proof of that?" Without a word, I picked up my phone from the counter, unlocked it, and played the recording. My mother's bright, hollow voice filled the quiet kitchen. "Did you get our little gift? We just wanted to show you how much we love you. You're our girl." I stopped it there. It was enough. The officer's expression shifted from professional skepticism to focused interest. He nodded slowly. "We're going to have to take this package with us as evidence. You're not being charged at this time, but this shipment contains materials that are part of an active investigation into art fraud and trafficking." I managed a tight smile. "No problem at all." They boxed it all back up as if it were a biohazard, thanked me for my cooperation, and walked out the front door, with Liam trailing behind them to answer a few more questions. I sank down at the kitchen table. My cup of tea was still warm. That felt offensive somehow, as if the universe were trying to suggest that any part of this day was normal. 3 hours later, my phone rang again. An unknown number. I didn't need to check. I answered. It was my mother, but her voice was no longer soft. It was jagged with fury. How could you? I didn't respond. You told the police? You told them it was from us. You implicated Riley. I told them who sent the package, I said, my voice as cold as ice. I told them you did. You know what this means for her, she shrieked. Yes, I said quietly, I do. You could have kept your mouth shut. You could have just taken the box, said it was a mistake. You called them. I didn't call them, I stated flatly, but you did. You called me to check that the bomb had arrived, and then one of you, or one of your accomplices, tipped them off to make sure I was the one caught holding it. A choked silence. Then, my father's voice, low and measured, came on the line. We didn't have a choice, Adeline. Her supplier was getting investigated. If they found it at her place, it would have been over for her. So you sent stolen goods to my house, in my name, and hoped I'd be dumb enough to take the fall? Silence again, deeper this time. We thought they'd just seize the items and move on, he mumbled. We didn't think they'd trace it back this far. But you were fine with them tracing it to me. Then came the final, devastating blow from my mother. Adeline, you're stronger. You've always been stronger. She's not built for this. And you don't have kids. You'd bounce back. There it was, the reason, the cold, hard calculus of their love. My life was disposable because I was strong. My future was less valuable because I didn't have children. My pain was acceptable because they assumed I could bear it. You've always been the cold one, my mother spat, her voice dripping with venom. And now look what you've done. I didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. I ended the call. Liam came back into the room a moment later, a fresh cup of tea in each hand. He set one down in front of me and didn't ask a single question. He just Saturday I looked at the empty space on the counter. The spot where the box had been felt like a fresh scar. They really thought I'd open it, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Liam sat down across from me, his presence a warm, solid comfort. They really did, he said. And that was all there was to say. A week after the police took the box, a detective called me again. I was halfway through a bowl of cereal. Liam had just left for work. The sun was streaming through the kitchen window, that nice, warm kind of light that makes you feel like things might be okay again. Then my phone lit up. Unknown number. Of course. Burn it all down before breakfast. Adeline Weller? This is Detective Miller. Do you have a few minutes? Why not? I said, the sarcasm a thin shield. We need to confirm a few things. Your name appears on multiple documents related to the business your sister was operating. Have you ever registered a business under your name? No. Have you ever listed yourself as a co-owner or manager for any company tied to art sales, resale platforms, or international supply chains? I actually laughed, a short, bitter sound. I once tried to sell a bookshelf on Facebook Marketplace for $20. That's as far as my entrepreneurship goes. He didn't laugh, not even a pity chuckle. There's a digital signature filed with your name and a business email address attached to a now suspended account. Let me guess, I said. Adeline.weller73@sketchyartmail.com. It ends in .designs, he corrected deadpan. Of course it does. Would you mind looking at the digital signature? He sent it over via a secure link. It took about 3 seconds to confirm what I already knew. It wasn't mine. I mean, it was my name, sure, just not in my handwriting. It looked like someone had tried to imitate it after glancing at the back of a birthday card once. It was a clumsy, desperate forgery. Is that your signature? No. Could your sister or parents have had access to any of your old documents? ID copies? Tax forms? I paused, the memory a dull ache. Yes, years ago, I used to trust them. That was the last time I would say that sentence out loud, past tense, and everything. He walked me through what they'd found. My brain turned some of it into white noise to protect itself. A business license filed under my name. My old address from 5 years ago listed as the official return center. A clear digital trail pointing back to devices pinging from Riley's known locations. Supplier contracts, fraudulent payment links, and a full-blown fake email account where I had been corresponding with shady dealers. "You've technically been listed as a silent partner for over a year," he said. I wanted to say something sharp, something clever, but all I could manage was, "Of course I have." He asked if I'd be willing to provide a formal written statement, confirming I never authorized any of it. I said yes. I sent it that afternoon, even including a scanned copy of my actual signature for comparison, just in case anyone needed help playing Spot the Fraud. He thanked me for my cooperation and said they'd follow up. He didn't say Riley's name again. He didn't promise justice. He just thanked me and hung up, which felt more honest than anything my family had said in months. After that, there was nothing. A deafening quiet. I figured either everything was happening behind the scenes or nothing was. Both were equally terrifying. And then it all moved at once. Riley's charges: wire fraud, identity theft, business fraud, import, export violations, and, in my own private indictment, being the world's neediest sibling. She pled out, obviously. 2 years probation, a fine the size of a new car, and her business license revoked until she was halfway to menopause. My parents' charges: conspiracy, aiding and abetting a known felon, pretending they were too naive to know what a cross-border art scam looked like. They pled guilty. A suspended sentence, hundreds of hours of community service, and hefty fines. Their names, printed in the public record. No more hiding behind, "We're just her parents." I didn't go to the hearing. I didn't need to see Riley cry in a beige cardigan while my mother squeezed her hand as if she were the one on trial for being a misunderstood genius. But I read the transcript. My name was mentioned 12 times, no apologies, not once. Then, because life apparently still had jokes left to tell, they asked to meet. No Riley this time, just the two of them. A peace talk over burnt coffee at a depressing cafe near the courthouse. I showed up 10 minutes late and ordered the most overpriced pastry on the menu, just to make a point. They were already seated. My mother was trying to arrange her face into an expression that would make me feel guilty. It wasn't working. "We didn't know she used your name on the business license," she said, launching the first volley. "You didn't ask either," I replied. "She told us it was just for shipping." "Yes, because that's how international art fraud works. You just ship it to a new address and hope no one asks questions." My dad cleared his throat, his classic move when logic had left the building. "We thought it was just temporary. She said you wouldn't mind. She also said I'd opened the package, remember? Turns out she says a lot of things. We didn't think it would go this far." I looked them both in the eye. "You mean you didn't think you'd get caught?" They both went quiet. Then my mom, seeing that guilt wasn't working, went for the jugular. "You've always been stronger, Adeline. You don't have kids. You don't have anyone relying on you. We thought you'd be able to recover." And there it was again. The justification. Polished, practiced, as if they'd said it to each other 100 times to soothe their consciences. "You offered me up," I said, my voice dangerously calm. "You served me on a platter because no one else depends on me, because you decided my life was the easiest one to lose." "That's not what we meant," my father mumbled, refusing to meet my eyes. "No, that's exactly what you meant," I said, a strange sense of clarity washing over me. I wasn't even angry anymore, just done. I stood up. My coffee was still half full. I didn't take it with me. "You were right about one thing, though," I added as they looked up at me, startled. "I am stronger. Strong enough to see you for exactly who you are. And strong enough to know that a life without you in it isn't a loss, it's a victory." I turned and walked away without looking back. That night, I blocked them, deleted every contact, cleared every cloud backup, removed their names from every emergency contact list. Gone. Not out of spite, but out of necessity. They don't get access to me anymore. Not even the convenient, disposable version of me they had made up in their heads. The next morning, Liam brought me coffee in bed, just like always. We sat in the quiet, the sunlight pouring in like it belonged to us, and only us. "You okay?" he asked softly. I took a sip, the warmth spreading through me. "I'm done," I said. He didn't ask with what. He didn't need to. He just reached over and took my hand. And for the first time in my life, on the day after my birthday, I felt completely, utterly, and blessedly free. This story illuminates a painful but necessary truth. Family is not an unconditional sanctuary, and blood is not a bond that can withstand infinite betrayal. We are conditioned to believe that love from our parents and siblings is a given, a foundational certainty. But this narrative reveals that, for some, family is merely a system of roles, and love is a currency used to maintain a toxic and unbalanced dynamic. The most profound lesson here lies in the redefinition of strength. To the abuser, another's strength is not a virtue to be admired, but a resource to be exploited. Adeline's family saw her resilience not as a testament to her character, but as a higher capacity for suffering, making her the ideal sacrifice. The true test of strength, therefore, is not how much one can endure for the sake of others, but possessing the clarity and courage to recognize when endurance is no longer noble, but self-destructive. It is the strength to set a boundary that cannot be crossed again. The ultimate act of self-love is sometimes the act of walking away, not as a punishment to others, but as a preservation of oneself. It is understanding that you cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. True freedom doesn't come from their apology or their remorse. It comes from the moment you realize you no longer need it. It's not an act of abandonment, but an act of choosing yourself, finally, and building a new sanctuary, founded on respect, not obligation.